Ooh, it's like riding a bike. Maybe. When in doubt, just fluff your hair. When in doubt, fluff your hair. This is the internet. What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Katura, back here on YouTube. I know you thought it wouldn't happen. I didn't either, but we're here. And what can I say? I, as of late, have just been feeling this like urge from the Lord of like, share your testimony. And I think it's come from a few different places of, I don't know, just wanting to show up more authentically online. And, you know, I'm definitely a private person in general. But I think there's a value in just being honest about who you are and the spaces that you're in, you know? And there are going to be, I hate saying this because it puts that pressure on, but there are going to be things to come here. And yeah, I just feel like the Lord was like, start with where we started. And so I'm like, okay. And so, yeah, I'm getting over a cold. So if you hear a little congestion, don't you worry about that. But all of my family and everybody is in Las Vegas. I grew up there. My parents were married. They got divorced when I was 3 and separated. And my dad just wasn't around. I remember him for birthdays. Just would pop up. There was a couple times at school he would like pop up and get me, but yeah, just didn't really have a relationship there. But me and my mom, we lived with my grandparents, and we had a great relationship. Like, me and my family were all very close. My grandma was like my second mom. I called her mama growing up. We all called her mama, but she really was like my second mom. And just had a really good family dynamic, even though, you know, like my dad wasn't around. And growing up, my grandma was Catholic. And so that meant we all were kind of Catholic. So we were the ones that were like Easter and Christmas Catholic mass goers, you know? So I remember like a handful of times when I was young, we would, you know, like show up at the, like Christmas mass and be kneeling and be standing. And I didn't know what was going on. I was just following. Like, okay, we're going to kneel and then we're going to get up and then we're going to sit here and I don't know what nobody's talking about. And yeah, that was kind of like my introduction to faith, I guess. But I really had no idea what was happening. I just knew, okay, it's Easter, we go here. It's Christmas, we go here. But my mom, which like I'm grateful for her, she was able to put me into private Christian schools like since preschool, kindergarten, like all of my schooling was in these private Christian school environments. And so I think I always had a knowledge of God. Like it was just always there. It was always a known thing, you know? But I think for me, though, that was just like normal life. So it wasn't something that was like, I can't remember explicitly being introduced to God or the Bible or Jesus. That's my alarm. It was just always something she put me in. So I don't remember explicitly being taught about like, there's God, there's the Bible, there's Jesus. Like it just was always there. But that was always normal for me. Like I didn't know anything else, you know? It was just like the basics of life. You go to school and there's God. And, you know, it was like that kind of thing. But I remember definitively when I was 6 or 7, I'm laying in bed by myself. I'm staring up at the ceiling, watching the fan. You know, when you used to watch like each individual blade and like try to follow it no matter how fast the fan was going. It's one of those things, and I just was like, trying to get myself to go to sleep or whatever. I hear a voice tell me, I've called you to do big things, Keturah. Like, I've created you for big things. And I remember laying there looking at the fan, and I just knew. I was like, that's God. And I don't know if I had been taught something recently or what, but I had the understanding to repent. And I was like, Lord, in my 6, 7-year-old mind, was like, I don't want to go to hell. Like, I believe you, Jesus, and I just believe you. I feel like that's all I could like muster up was like, I don't want to go to hell, and to not go to hell, I gotta believe in you. And so I said that. I like prayed that. But I vividly remember just that voice telling me, like, I've created you for big things in your life. And I just was like, okay. And so I go throughout life, and I consider my story one of the Lord kind of like chipping away at my hardened heart. Because one thing about me is, so I was the only child and went to these, like I said, these private schools that are very small. So, like I had these friends that I grew up with since, I remember when I switched from kindergarten to first grade, that was a big deal because I was so nervous because I was like, my friends, like, am I going to make new friends? And the first day of classes, I remember I met my best friend, who was my childhood best friend, in first grade, and we just stuck together. It was like 3 or 4 of us girls, and we thankfully like were able to just be in school and in these small same environments throughout all of my childhood. And we're really good girls. Like, we were just your typical girls who have sleepovers and things like that. But I remember at that young age, I struggled with this sense of identity because there was this feeling of like, I don't fit, even though these are, my best friends and we all get along and it's all great. Like, I feel like I don't fit. And I think part of that too was like, I'm like one of the only Black girls in my class. And, like, my hair is different. My skin's different. I'm tall. Like, always been the tallest girl. And like, I'm 5'9". And so I remember I grew to be 5'9" at like 13. So them growth spurts were real, y'all. Like, I was just this little lanky girl in elementary school. And so there was just these aspects that I felt like, yeah, I don't fit with these people, but I want to, and so I'm going to do what they do and like what they like. I remember that was around the age of like joining clubs and sports and stuff. And my best friend, her name is Taylor. She was like a killer athlete, okay? My little Filipino, Japanese, Portuguese friend, little, but she would kill it on like any court, any game or anything. She just was like the athlete. But people look to me, because I'm the tall Black girl, as an athlete, and I was like, I don't actually really want to do this. But because she's doing it, I was like, okay, I'll join in or whatever. So I remember those times, there being a part of me is like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to play softball. I don't want to play basketball. I liked volleyball a little bit. But because like my friends, that's what they were doing and were good at, I was like, okay, I guess I got to join in too or whatever. And so that was my childhood, right? But there was just these threads of not really liking who I was, not knowing who I was, wanting to be different, wanting these things to change about me to fit in to these spaces that I'm in. And so when I was 12, me and my mom, she wanted to move us out of Vegas to California. And that was like world shaking for me, okay? Like, the shy girl with the same friends, she's had all of her, childhood life. I'm moving to a whole other state. Are you kidding me? Like, I remember calling Taylor. Taylor didn't answer the phone. So I called my other friend, who I really wasn't like friends with like that, but she answered. I think I called maybe another friend before that, she also didn't answer. And this is a time like we had just started getting phones, y'all. I remember I was like 11 or 12. We just started getting phones. And yeah, I called her and just was like, we're moving. Like I was like hysterical. And she just was like, I'm so sorry. And I just was like, so it was really, it was, but I can laugh now, but it was a very hard moment in my little 11, 12-year-old life. And so we moved to California, and I feel so lost. Like I feel so lost and alone, and just unsure of anything, right? Again, we go, like I get put in another private school, same like type of kids. You know, like again, I'm still like the only Black girl, the only actually there was a couple more Black girls that we all just like, I found them, they found me. But I still just had this sense of, even with them, like I didn't really fit in with like what they like to do or talk about or things like that. Like I just never fit anywhere. And I remember this one specific moment I was in 8th grade. It was like a history class, but it was around some presidential election. And so we were like learning about them, like what, you learn about the election and what happens and all that stuff. And the teacher made us in some way like have to choose which side, like who we're voting for, right? And so we had to split the classroom and go to whatever side. I had a real identity crisis like off of this, because I remember like almost having like a panic attack, because I was like, I don't know what I think. Like I don't know what opinion I have to choose either side. And it was so scary to me, because I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't know what I want to choose. I don't know what's like right to choose. I have no idea. And it just felt so, it made me feel so small and so insignificant and so like almost like worthless in a sense, which is crazy, because it's like it's just a school exercise or whatever. But it was just this weight of accumulation of like, yeah, you're kind of worthless. You have no sense of who you are. You have no purpose. Like it just was all of that weight in my 8th grade history class. It was crazy. But that, like, it was like a seed almost that got planted in me, because I just was like, oh my God, I don't know. And of course, I just ended up like going to wherever I was closest to. But I just remember like even going home, and I just was like shook off of that, because I was like, I don't know what I think. I don't know my own opinion. Like, I just go with where my friends or the people who I like want to be like go, which was crazy. But we started going to this church, and it was cool. Again, it wasn't anything that happened significantly, but we're going to church and we learned about baptism. And something in me, I don't know if we had gone with Christian schools. Typically you go on retreats, which are just like 2 or 3 day trips where you go out into the woods. When we were in Vegas, it was out to the desert, because it's Vegas, it's the desert. And yeah, it's like a little camp, little retreat. And then you have like worship, and someone comes and speaks, and typically like the last night is like the most powerful night, and everyone's like crying and giving their lives to the Lord, right? And so I remember like we would have those retreats throughout. Like I remember when we were still in Vegas, there was at one where I really was like kind of moved by it. Again, like the Lord kind of chipping away at me. And I think during this 8th grade year when we moved to California, there was another retreat we went to that kind of like impacted me. And so I think, because I remember it was this summer, it was June of whatever year. And I'm at this church. They're talking about baptisms. And they're like, yeah, we're going to have them next weekend or whatever. And something in me was like, I want to do that. I just want to do that. And so I tell my mom, I want to get baptized. And she's like, okay. Like, it was very much like random, but that's good. That's good, I guess. Go for it. So yeah, I get baptized, and nothing like happens, like crazy happens. I remember we went to like the beach after, so that was fun. But yeah, I just kind of in myself was like, no, I want to like publicly declare this. Like, nothing's really like changed, but like I believe in Jesus, and I want to live for Jesus. And so yeah, I got baptized. The next year, like school year, this was in the summer. The retreats were always at the beginning of the year. And so, I don't know, maybe August or September, we go on the retreat. And when we're in worship, I start to really like, things start to sink in, I think, a little more for me. As I'm like singing in worship, I feel like what we're singing, I'm kind of like just realizing the reality of the words that we're singing. And there was a teacher actually who, during kind of like the prayer time, he came over to me. I'm sitting in like the back seats, and he comes over to me and he starts speaking into my life, and he gives me a word. And I just was like, yo, like, how you don't know anything about me. And the thing about this teacher, he was very quiet. He was very nice, but he kind of like had kind of like a stern, not stern, but just a stoic look about him, kind of kept to himself. And yeah, that's how he was, right? And so when he gave me that word, I just was like, there's no way you could have known that about me. And it broke something in me, because I just was like, Lord, that was from you. Like, you saw me. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm really like realizing these words that I'm singing, and I'm really singing them to you. Like, I'm really just out of in faith, just giving you this worship. And you send this teacher who I don't even have classes with him. Like, I think he was kind of like, at one point he became the vice principal, but I think at this time he was still teacher, but I had never really interacted with him other than knowing he's a teacher, right? And you just spoke through him to me. And it was a moment of like, you are the God who sees me. Like, you see me for real. And it floored me, right? We go about, we leave, go back to school, and the same theme of not knowing my identity and following my friends is still there, right? And now we're in high school, so it's like, now boys are involved, and I'm crushing. They ain't checking for me though. They ain't checking for the tall black girl. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure checking for them. Like, I'm very much like want some affirmation in that vein, right? So there's just those layers of like getting boyfriends and feeling. I remember I really just had one, but there was one guy that I kind of talked to, and he just ended up like ignoring me next day at school. And I just was like devastated, because I was like, what did I do? And then one guy who he was my first boyfriend. I didn't like him, but because he was like showing me attention that I was like yearning for, I was like, okay, I'll be your girlfriend. And don't do that. Like, so if you don't like somebody, don't date them. But I was just desperately yearning for this sense of like love and belonging and identity, that I just was like, all right. And throughout that time too, like crossing boundaries I didn't really want to cross, but because that's what people did, even in Christian schools, like, I guess, and those things were never fulfilling either. Not like extreme boundaries, but definitely boundaries. And so that's chipping away at me too. We end up breaking up, and I still am just like, I don't know. Then there was this event at the high school, and the Lord is funny because there was this boy who showed up, and mind you, I'm checking for the boys. Okay, I'm a little boy crazy in high school. Real cute. Okay, he comes to the basketball game. What's kind of sucky is I think I was still dating the boy I didn't like. Okay, when he came in, and I was like, yo, and I think I was at his game, like my boyfriend's game, and this other guy walks in, and I'm like, hold up. He stands out to me. We have this event. That was at a basketball game. We have this event. This youth pastor comes, and she gives this message that it was very like, at the time, I think I was slowly learning the voice of the Lord. But as she's talking, I'm like, you're really speaking truth. Like, what you're saying is really hitting me, and really, I feel like there's just a lot of weight of truth to it. She invites me to her youth, we call it youth group. And at first I'm like, no, because I don't go play. I'm shy, okay? These are my friends. These are the people I know. I'm not going out and doing the things. That's not me. Come to find out, she's like, oh, my nephew, somehow, some way, my nephew is the boy that I saw. And I said, say what? She was like, oh yeah, he's my nephew and he goes to the thing. And I said, what time? What time and where was the thing? I think I can like pencil that in. I think I'll come on through. So that's what got me to the youth group, y'all, was the cute boy that I seen. He'll use it all to get you, okay? He knows how to reach his people. I go to the youth group, and again, it's really through worship that I start really, again, just like realizing and coming to an understanding of like, Jesus, you are real. And I'm starting to like hear him also speaking to me through worshiping. And, we start studying the word, and I'm starting to go home and open it up for myself, like the Bible, and it's jumping out at me. Like what I'm reading is just like, it's coming alive to me as I'm reading it. And I'm like, yo, this is real. Like, this is real. And again, like, it was just because I jumped into like the youth group environment and scene, and, started every Sunday, every Wednesday. That was my life, right? And so I'd go, and, it was a slow build of about, through a summer and then into a year of me just consistently going and really like encountering the Lord, like through these worship nights and these Bible studies and messages we're having, to the point where we're in worship. I'm around these kids and I start hearing the Lord tell me things. I'm hearing, for like the people that I'm around, he would tell me things about them. And then later I'd go up to him and be like, hey, or we're in a conversation and, we're talking about something, and I'm just like, I kind of share what I feel like I heard, but I'm not saying in the way of like, I feel like I heard this, is this? I'm just like kind of asking questions like, how is your mom? Or like, how, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's da 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 da. And so I'm realizing like, yo, that's not my voice. I'm here. These aren't my thoughts that are like coming into my mind. Like, this is your voice. Like, this is your voice. Because there would be time after time after time where just in conversation, or, I'd get a word or something, and I'm like, I would tell the person or talk to the person about it, and they're floored, and they're like, I really needed to hear that, or that's spot on with what I'm going through. And so it just affirmed me like, oh my gosh, I'm hearing your voice, Lord. And it just started feeling this passion for me, in me, of like, God is real. Like, Jesus is really real. Like, his word is true. And like, what is in this word, I'm seeing as we're walking this out, right? And through this group, we ended up going on a mission trip. The first one we went to was to Uganda and Kenya. And while we're there, it's been like a while of me growing in these things and just this passion and this fire of like, no, this is true. Like, Jesus is real, and just having this fire build up in me for it. We go there and we encounter just like deliverance services, okay? And I'm seeing people who are oppressed, possessed demonically. And we're in these services, and this it's just like this confident, not even confidence, but just assurance, like I said, of like what I'm reading and what I know to be true in this word, seeing it in front of my eyes, commanding things to leave in the name of Jesus and then leave. Like seeing a 9-year-old girl speak in this man's voice, and I literally get into its face. I'm seeing it in her eyes, this demon, and commanding it to leave. And him, like, there was this one moment where I was kind of in the back. People were going and praying over her. And it was taking a while. And there was like this heat that rose up in me of just like passion, because I'm seeing her and I'm just like, I have this love for her. And I'm like, how dare you like take over this young girl's life? And I really feel like it was like the Lord giving me his heart for her. And I like step in and I'm like, I'm commanding this demon in this girl to come out. And he's reacting to me out of all the people in the room. Like, he's reacting to me. And and she gets delivered. And it's like through these experiences and this time spent like in the word and walking with these people who also love the Lord, like it's building this like confidence in me of like, no, like, this is reality. Like, there is nothing more real than what is happening right now. Like, this word is true. Jesus is true. He is king. Okay. Like, he has all victory. There is nothing he has conquered it all. Okay. Like, there's just this like confidence building in me time after time after time. And I feel like he's just walking me through these things, just showing me like who he is. And not even in the just extremes of like, casting out demons and things, but just the assurance of like, I'm with you. Okay. Like, I've given you my spirit. Like, I am in you, working through you. I am guiding your path. And so, yeah, those were just moments that were like super impactful for me, where it just built this assurance in me, and I was just encountering him. Like, I was just encountering Jesus for who he is. There was another time after this, my grandma, who I said, was like my second mom, she had passed away my freshman year of high school. And during that whole time, it was crushing for my family. My camera cut off, sorry. And it was such a devastating thing for my whole family, because it really was like an overnight type of situation where she passed away. And so we all were just shook to the core. But I remember, because I was her baby, right? Like, that's what she called me. That's what I was. Everyone knew that. Like, we had a very special relationship of like, she treated me like her baby. But I remember seeing my mom cry, which I feel like has only been a handful of times in my life. And I like, the three of us were like the three musketeers. Like, so seeing her like broken, my grandpa, they were like high school sweethearts, him broken, my uncle, who's like my big brother, he was her baby. He's like the baby of the family as well. And knowing like he was so close to her. So I just remember I took on this weight of like, I need to be strong for my family, which I'm like 14. But I did. I remember I took that on because I was like, I know if I break down, that's going to be devastating for everybody because everyone knows like I'm her baby. And if they see me hurting and broken, like it's just going to add a whole other layer of like hurt and devastation to this. And so like I need to be strong, right? And so I was like, I remember I encouraged like my grandpa, like years later, he was telling me things that I encouraged him with. And I'm like, I don't even remember saying that. Like, I just took on this weight of like, I need to be strong and not really grieve this, really. But so freshman year of high school, I'm encountering all these things my senior year of high school. And I remember the Lord had started bringing up to me, like, you haven't acknowledged what happened back then. And I remember this is times where it's just like me and him just spending time together. And I was like, Lord, I can't. Like, if I do, I don't think I'll be able to like come back to myself. Like, I felt like it's such a deep level of pain that if I like embraced it or acknowledged it, I wouldn't be able to come back to myself. Like, I wouldn't be able to recover from that. Like, I genuinely felt like I can't feel that level of pain. Like, I can't. And he kept over a while. So I would dismiss it. Like, I can't do that. And he kept nudging it with me and just kept being like, Tura, trust me. Like, trust me. Like, I am able to keep you. Like, I am able to hold you. Like, a verse that he really met me with and has met me with like throughout the years is like, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And I actually think it came from like out of this time. And I mean, when I tell you like he kept nudging it, and this is over months, y'all, like months of him being like, we need to address this. And finally, I just got to the point where I was like, okay, like, I'll trust you. And I remember I'm in the living room, and I remember my mom, she has like a downstairs bedroom that was near the living room. I'm sitting with the Lord, there's just like worship music on, and I just start like accepting it, like accepting that she is gone, accepting how she left, and I just start, breaking. I start crying, and I remember it started to be like an uncontrollable cry, and I was like, I don't want to wake my mom up, like she couldn't like hear me. And I just am like, this is too much, but I'm like, I'm in it now, like the wave of emotion has like hit me, and I'm like in that thing, and I think anyone who has like experienced grieving somebody that you're close to understands, like when you're in the thought of it, like when you're just in it, like it kind of overtakes you. And so I'm going upstairs. My battery is about to die. Hold that thought. So yeah, I start I start crying. I'm in it. And I'm like, I can't get out of it. And yeah, like if you've ever lost somebody who's close to you, I think you understand the feeling of like when you are in those thoughts, like in the like acceptance of it, it's a hard place to be, but it's hard to get out of it. And I think there's just this place that you can go that feels like it's a hole and you like it swallows you. And so I'm in that hole for like the first time since it happened years ago. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. Like I'm not okay. And I don't want to wake my mom up. So I start like going up the stairs, but I'm getting so swallowed by this weight of grief that I'm like, I can't even stand. I start like having to crawl up the stairs because I'm like, I can't breathe. I just is the weight of like, I can't breathe. Like, I can't breathe. I go up the stairs and I get to my room and I kind of just like collapse onto my bed. And I'm kind of praying where I'm just like, Lord, like, I can't do it. I will not ever forget. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. A wind wraps around me like arms, but it's air, it's wind wraps around me, and I'm laying on my side at this point, and I'm like, if someone like has their arms around you, you know how you're pressed, right, and you're kind of like there. I'm held. I'm held by this wind that's in my room, surrounding me right now in my bed, and I'm just there, and it just is. Oh, it's. I just have this understanding that it's peace. Like the wind, whatever this is peace, and I'm instantly like calmed. I'm instantly like assured and have this peace that just it surrounds me and it holds me, and I'm okay. And yeah, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like still kind of crying, but it was like the whole that just like took me out of the hole and was just like holding me. Like I wasn't in the hole anymore. Like I wasn't being swallowed anymore. I was held by this peace. And it was physical, y'all. It wasn't just like I'm just like it was a physical wind in my room that came in and it wrapped around me and it's holding me on my bed. And I was okay. And yeah, I just sat there for a while and was just held. And I just knew like this is the Lord with me right now, holding me, and I was okay. And I wasn't I wasn't broken like beyond repair. Like I still was able to like come back to myself, even acknowledging and being in the understanding of like what happened, and she's not here and she's not coming back. And um yeah, he just held me. And so again, along the lines of like just encountering him, like that was nobody can tell me that was not the Lord, and that was not real, and that he was not there holding me in that moment and keeping me. Like he kept me, and not like that was such a pivotal time that now I was able to like actually talk about her. And it was like that was just a freeing moment for me to be able to heal, really. Like it's still a grief, right? But it's not, I don't have this fear of that grief. I don't have just this fear of talking about her or thinking about her, like that moment freed me to where I was able to like look at pictures of her again and remember memories and not run from those things out of the fear of being swallowed by that level of pain. And so he just encountered me, and yeah, there's just been times like that where he just kept meeting me and kept encountering me. And something kind of significant that happened after the fact. So this was my senior of high school. I go to college. That's a whole story in and of itself, like how he led me to go, because it's very much Lord leading me. But while I'm there, I start to see these unhealthy patterns in the group that I was a part of, with the leadership that I was under. And kind of to make a long story short with that, the Lord revealed like there are really some unhealthy, manipulative, divisive things at work there. And but the Lord really assured me through that of like, he is trustworthy. I follow him. I'm not following people. Following him and to follow his word. And what his word says is true. And to be in communities that are healthy, that also follow him, that also believe his word is true, and let him lead in those ways. And so, yeah, I don't know how long this has been because my camera was a little fritzy, but that is my testimony of how the Lord, took a girl who was lost and had no real sense of identity and showed her that her identity is in him, is found in him. And, has taken me on a journey of discovering like what he's given me to do. And in every aspect of my adult life, I have literally every aspect has been, Lord, what do you want to do? Where do you want me to go? Do you want me to be involved in? And it's led me on an incredible journey, okay? It's led me to Arizona, to Kansas, to Georgia, back to California, to different industries. And I'm in the entertainment industry, and it's all been him. And it's been such an adventure. It's been freaking hard and incredibly amazing and joyful. And that's it's been an incredible walk and something that I could have never embarked on my own, because I had no sense of who I was and what I wanted to do, and he just broke all that off of me. And it's been so worth it. And I'm still growing, I'm still learning and trying and discovering who he is, and walking with him in the hard days and the good days. And but it's just so worth it. And I don't know, I just want to leave y'all with like, he is real. I don't care what anybody says who seems so smart and so logical and so, like they have it all together. Like, none of that matters. Like, at the end of the day gotta end. I couldn't resist that. Shout out to Glorilla. But really, truly, Jesus is real, y'all. And the spiritual world is real. His word is true. His faithful love endures forever. And I just want to, and my prayer is I want to see people know him and encounter him not even just the way I have, because it's like my life is small, my perspective is small, but like he's everything, y'all. He is everything. And I just hope people can experience that and know that too. Because it's so, there is no greater love. There is no greater love. There is no greater joy than to walk with Him. There is no greater truth to know than Him. There is nothing that can compare to Him. And so, yeah, that's all I got for today. Yeah, that's all I got. So, I don't even really know how to end this. But it's been real, y'all. I will see you when I see you. And pray all the best, y'all. Bye.